While many of the questions surrounding Samsung's upcoming two-hinged TriFold device have now been answered, there has been one big thing that continues to be asked. Will this device ever be released in the United States, where most of my audience happens to live? Today we have an update on that exact topic, and it does give a little bit of optimism. Strangely enough, this report is coming from CNN Business. This is not a typical tech source, but we're going to take a look at it and see what they have to say. Samsung is considering releasing its upcoming TriFold smartphone in the United States. They say, of course, this is a first for US smartphones and Samsung as it seeks to recharge the market for what was once a cutting-edge product, but is now a staple of everyday life, talking about folding phones. They were once this crazy thing. I can still remember quite vividly. I was working at Advanced Auto Parts when the news of Samsung showing off that first foldable broke. They were in a dark room and they just kind of basically, all you could see was like a bright screen in the dark room open up, and my mind was absolutely blown. Now we are on the Z Fold 7. We've had them for quite a while. They're not quite as crazy as they once were, but one with two hinges might indeed, as they say, sort of recharge things. Here's what's interesting. Samsung is still weighing which markets to launch the device in when it arrives later this year, but a United States release is part of those discussions. A person familiar with the company's plans told CNN. So they are claiming to have a source, someone who's familiar with Samsung's plans, and they are telling them they are still considering a launch in the United States. Now, of course, all the prior reporting had said that this device was going to be launching in South Korea and in China. And there had been some reports that if that device sold well in those regions, we could see a US launch. So this is not necessarily something new. It's just something we haven't heard in a little while. You guys might remember that the Z Fold Special Edition launched in China and in South Korea. It sold relatively well. And then by the time the Z Fold 7 was coming out, that's basically what that special edition had become. They made it a little bit slimmer, they tweaked a few things, and they released it as the Z Fold 7. So I've speculated pretty much from the beginning that we could see something like that. It's going to be released in those two regions, and if it sells well, they might rebadge it, change the name, do some things with it, and then launch it in the United States and in other regions later on. If the TriFold completely flops in their home country of South Korea, I would be fairly surprised if they decide to release it in the United States. They might wait another year, try again, refine things, address whatever issues people had, and then maybe something happens then. Regardless, if it does come to the United States, I think it's going to be after that South Korea release, and I think it's going to be in very small quantities. Now, just as a quick refresher, we had heard rumors of an event occurring on September the 29th to unveil this device as well as some other things like their XR headset. Since then, there have been additional reports that that might have been delayed to October the 21st. Either way, though, Samsung has explicitly said that they intend to release the TriFold this year, 2025. So it is September the 19th. We're running out of time. Whether they unveil it in September or October, by the end of 2025, it should, according literally to Samsung, be released somewhere. Now, so far, every indication we've seen is that this device is going to be similar to the Samsung Display's G Flex concept devices. This is a 9.9-inch display that folds in and then folds in once again, unlike something like the Huawei Mate XT, which has a Z shape, an accordion shape design. And this does, of course, affect the form factors that this device can take. It also does necessitate a cover display, which we have seen in some imagery being right there in the middle on the back of the device. Imagery coming in the form of leaks from within builds of One UI 8. It is expected to be packing the Snapdragon 8 Elite, 16 gigs of RAM, probably up to a terabyte of storage, and a camera system that's going to be ripped straight from the Galaxy Z Fold 7, which I think is probably good enough for most people. I think it's fine on the Fold 7. That telephoto is my lone problem with that camera setup, but for the price they're probably going to charge, rumored to be around $3,000, maybe you could expect a little bit better camera hardware, but hey, it has 2 hinges, so something's got to give somewhere in a device like that. We've also heard rumors that it probably won't support the S Pen by having an S Pen digitizer. I do think Samsung is still working on a version of the pen that doesn't use a digitizer, but for now, I wouldn't get my hopes up for S Pen compatibility. So there you go, guys. Yet another source that says a US release is indeed possible. I do think that it's probably going to be sales contingent, so don't get your hopes up too awfully high for it to happen. It might not. I do think it's going to happen eventually. It is a matter of time. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.